Hello and welcome to day 3. Today I'm about 20 minutes later than I have been for the past 2 days, but it's the last day. I think I'm allowed to be less than an hour early. But that's where I'm going, and let's get cracking. Hello, I'm here with Edmund Lee of Historic England, and Edmund is a very interesting chap with a very interesting stand. What is all this stuff here all about?
Well, we're exhibiting the work of my section in Historic England, and our role is to build up the skills and knowledge and understanding of professionals across the sector, both working in heritage and those who work with heritage, so planners and sort of civil engineers and so on. We do that through a number of different ways, and a couple of them are displayed here. We have large quantities of written guidance, which is available on our website, historicengland.org.uk, and we've brought along samples as printed copies to sort of show people a range of what's available.
Okay.
So that ranges from technical material aimed at archaeologists, such as how to work with piling on archaeological sites, or how to manage particular research projects. But also for those working in the planning system, so for example, dealing with issues such as the setting of heritage assets.
And so you say this is available online. Is this to download?
Yes, so all of these are free to download as PDF documents.
Wonderful.
So it's an amazing resource. So do go and have a look at our website, or you can just Google Historic England and a subject that you're interested in, and that'll bring up documents such as any of these, or indeed about 300 others.
Wonderful. To be honest, I didn't fully know about this, so I'm intrigued by it, and I'm sure many of you guys will be as well. One, I suppose, final question that this is like a lead on, at least into my logic, at least, is where did the need for this come from? How was it established that this sort of literature would be a good idea? Sort of mean.
Well, we look at things such as what we technically call labour market intelligence. Look at the skill sets that are needed by the sector, and where those skills currently are in shortage, then there may be a reason to gather the experience of some of the technical experts and get it written down so that knowledge is available in the future. Or it might arise where there's been a significant technological change, so a new way of doing something, and we want to develop and establish good practice in how to apply that to heritage situations.
Wonderful. Excellent.
Yeah, right, I don't want to spend too much time getting the planning because it's dead money. All dead money. And if they don't get planning, it's not.
So I just bumped into some very lovely students who said apparently I got them through the second year of their archaeology course. That's kind of cool. But I didn't want to embarrass them by filming them. But guess what? I just won a bottle of wine. How cool's that? Rioja, always a good choice. This is quite a good day. Ooh, Kanye West, Gold Digger. Oh, okay. Oh my! A wild Tristan appeared. Hello, Tristan. This guy is the an archaeologist of the podcast over there. Are we both on screen? Let me just get the screen.
Yeah.
There you go. This is really quick and dirty filming. Hello.
No, exactly. Guerrilla filming, I would say.
Guerrilla filming. How are you?
I'm well. How are you, Mr. Soup?
I'm slightly distracted by the screen.
Yeah, no, exactly.
So what have you been up to then this conference?
Well, I've been here to film some of the sessions and interview some of the people here, which has been really, really good fun, and that's what I've done for a few of the conferences. But I'm also here to meet amazing people, like, of course, Mr. Soup. Of course. But I've been also here just to meet people and talk to people and network, and that's what's really important about these conferences. And to, tell people some terrible archaeology jokes. I don't have any on call. That doesn't really happen a lot.
Absolutely none that you're allowed to say at least. Fair enough. I have to say, I've really enjoyed actually the ability to meet new practitioners of things which I'm innately curious about. I guess it's the ability to learn from other people's specialisms. It's quite cool, I think.
Yeah. Well, there's been a lot of stuff about, I think, there's been a lot of chances for me to see people who make actual archaeological equipment, people who do training, and of course the drones. Love the drones.
Yeah.
I think you've talked to a few people with drones and stuff, so that's been really, really cool.
I have. I'm going to capture as another drone person too. But as I was saying to you yesterday, I really want to see some sort of indoor Nerf or laser-based drone off.
I could see that really. All we need is paint stripped down.
Yeah, I mean, this is a big enough room, you know.
Have them kind of zoom in like that. I can.
Yeah.
Archeo drone racing.
Okay, drone racing. You could just have some sort of, maybe there are fines bags you have to pick up, and then there's some sort of, you have to do like a quick drilling of a drilling with things.
Drilling.
Can you attach a drill to a drone? Or would that be highly unethical?
A drill drone.
A drill drone.
Drill drone. I would like to see. Actually, I mean, what states do drones then take over from archaeologists in the field? I mean, they're taking photographs today, but let's face it, you can attach anything to a drone.
Yeah, this is true.
Are we talking about a bit too serious about drones?
I think we possibly
actual
are.
Reality of it all?
Possibly are. I mean, we are straying into the whole sort of Terminator territory now. But anyway, moving on from.
Of course, yes, that's what we have to do.
I understand that you are. You've also been busy, for example, getting interesting new ideas in terms of, for example, equipment, this kind of thing. Have you bumped into the guy talking about the chips to do with LiDAR, this kind of thing?
Well, there's a really interesting conversation I had. I think you had as well. Basically talking about LiDAR's that laser scanning technology that basically what it does is it bounces different forms of laser down, and it can penetrate a lot of different surfaces. So, for example, your normal radar will be bounced back off tree leaves, whereas laser gets through all that. And what's really interesting is the miniaturization of anything. That most people can put stuff on chips. Chips get smaller, you can put them on phones. Mr. Soup here has been joking about being able to scan everything. Having that's how big that is.
Exactly.
That's and I think those are really, really cool ideas, and especially for archaeology. What you do is you have something in situ, you can't really move it, but you've dug around it. You just do a quick laser scan, and then you can figure out later on how to remove it. I remember being on a dig, and we had a Neolithic pot that basically was already we interpreted as possibly ritualistically smashed because of its placement, and it was very difficult to get out. And the idea was basically we took many camera angles as we could of it, but then we had to take it out, and it was just thinking about maybe if we'd been able to laser scan that, we'd be able to show one of the pottery specialists in seconds what it was, and they could have given a much better kind of idea of what we could have done with it. So I think there's a lot of applications there.
Also, for example, on-the-fly photogrammetry, the ability to just walk around a site and it just constructs the 3D model.
It does sound cool, but as always, there is such a thing as too much technology, and I think we need to be always aware of what technology can do with us rather than what we can do with technology, because ultimately we can use all the amazing technology in the world, but really what are we doing? We're archaeologists, not technologists, and we need to always focus on how are we using this, why are we doing it, because that comes back to why we're doing archaeology in the first place. That's the whole thing, is we should be doing this for a reason, for a proper reason. And that's what I believe.
I don't know about you, but I feel I've sort of convinced and being preached at. It's kind of interesting. But that is kind of the whole point of being an archaeologist.
Yeah,
you
if you can say it right,
questioning the establishment.
No, of course, and I think that's the idea that I always run with, is basically trying new things, but also remembering that there's always another way of doing things.
Hello, I'm here with Katie Green from the ADS, the Archaeology Data Service, based in York, and it's a very interesting project. What is the ADS?
Well, the ADS is a digital repository for archaeological data. We've been around for about 20 years now, and we provide a service. So all the data that we have is available free of access charges on the website. So we have lots of different types of resources that anyone can use, and then we also preserve that data that we have available in the long term, with the idea that in 10, 15, 20 years' time that data will still be accessible for future generations of archaeologists to use and become part of their own research and reuse that data.
Okay, and is that the key then? When you say accessibility, is this about public accessibility or archaeological?
It's public accessibility, so it's not just archaeologists that already know that they're interested in archaeology. It's about providing information to people that might not necessarily come across our services or come across our data. And we have lots of people that use our data from a vast variety of different disciplines as well. We have people that do data mining in our grey literature, for example, to come to investigate things that are not necessarily archaeologically related at all. So it's providing data and information to anyone and everyone that can access that information.
Okay. Now, just for the sake of those who may not know, grey literature tends to be a report at the end of an excavation process, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
A fairly formalised set of data surrounding an excavation event, isn't it? Yeah,
That's right, yeah. A grey literature report can be anything from a few pages long to almost monograph length, depending on what it's actually telling you about. So it could be a small desk-based assessment prior to someone building a garage on the side of the house, or it could be something much larger prior to a huge infrastructure programme such as a road building project, and it could cover any kind of archaeological activity.
Wonderful. So is there a I mean, I hate to say it's like this, but is there sort of like a big idea behind this sort of concept along the lines of almost like a philosophy of data storage? Because it sounds like you're interested in the preservation of the data, and is there a way of combining, I suppose, the act of storing the data with new ideas of how to do that, as it were? I mean, I don't quite know what it is I'm asking, but do you know what I mean? Are you looking at how to store data as well? Or?
Yes, so we're a trusted repository. So we're an expert in our field, actually, of how people, not just archaeological data, but we're an expert in digital preservation in general.
That's what I was getting at. Yeah.
And we're a trusted digital repository, so we're an accredited repository that follows all the correct procedures and guidance that a repository should follow in order to look after data.
Okay, and so does that involve things like the environment in which servers are and all this kind of thing?
So
right,
the digital archiving side of things is it's a very big, a long-winded process, really, but it's based around something called the Open Archival Information Systems Model, and it's about the data that we get given might come to us in a particular format, a particular package of information, and then we have to do a lot of work on that package of information to move it through into an archival format. In the same way, when you find an object, and the finds person records the object and describes what it is, but they might also have to do a lot of work on it before it's into a condition, conservation work on it, before it can actually be put in a museum or an archive. We have to do that kind of similar work with digital data, so it comes to us in a certain format. We have to do a lot to it to make it archivable, and then there's the constant active management of it once it's in the archive. So just like an object will degrade over time, so can data. So we have to manage that data and look after it, move it through different versions of software in a process called migration. And then we also have to disseminate it as well, so then we have to package it up again to make it available on the website, which may mean it has to go through multiple stages in order to do different jobs. Okay.
So to continue the artifact analogy, is it kind of like often you'll have to stabilise an artifact in order to make it storable, and so on and so forth? Is that kind of...
That's the kind of thought process behind it, yeah.
I see. And so I suppose the final thoughts that comes to mind, or the final question is that essentially part of, as it were, the deal when people come to you to store their data, that they're also agreeing that it's going to be used in certain ways and also migrated in certain patterns and this kind of
that's
thing?
Exactly the deal. So people give us the data, and in most cases they pay to deposit the data in our archive. And part of that process is signing a license, which allows us to potentially change that data set from one format to another format, and also to disseminate that data and make it accessible to the public. So the copyright might lie with the original data creator, but they're giving us permissions to do certain things with that data.
Okay, and in return they get data security, as it were.
Yes, they get the security to know that their data is going to hopefully be accessible 50 years down the line, in the same way a paper archive would have been in the past.
Right, okay, interesting. And in fact, just as interesting as I hoped it would be, so thank you very much.
You're welcome.